Happy Halloween! I was supposed to do a different video, but I had an overeat last night, and I guess I'm not the only one on Halloween. I guess there are a lot of people who eat a bit too much when there's a lot of candy around. Dealing with overeating and learning from your mistakes is a big part of losing weight, and I thought I was just gonna show you how I'm processing it and how I'm moving forward after I overeat. So I hope you will find this video helpful and enjoy. So an overeat happens when you eat more than your body is comfortable with. In my case, my body tells me when I'm satisfied with a big sigh, and then I know, okay, now I'm good. And sometimes I might eat a little bit more, but usually that's okay. This is something you also can get better at, but baby steps. The problem occurs when it is more than just a few more bites. It is like eating until you actually feel uncomfortable because you've eaten really way too much. And for me, that happened yesterday when I came back from work. I think I didn't really know what to do with myself, so I ended up having, I think I had Twix, I had chips, I had Kinder Bueno, and oh yeah, toffee. So I had like all kind of mostly candy things, and oh yeah, some nachos. So in the end, in total it was definitely too much, and I also didn't really feel well, and especially I felt a lot of urges to eat. It wasn't that I was super hungry or something. I was really feeling the urge to eat because there was something else going on that I didn't pay attention to or didn't want to pay attention to. So I think the first step after an overeat is, like usually for me it's the next day, is to get back into the routines that you usually have in place, if you have some. For me it's like my daily morning routine, and also kind of like tidying up, because I can see that when I've been overeating, often there will be a lot of chaos around me, like in the kitchen or in the living room, and it kind of like fits very well together. So I usually just tackle that first before I tackle what's happening in my mind. So after that, I will start to get out my worksheets, and I actually have two different ones, and I thought like I will show you both because one is a little bit more in depth and the other one is a bit more short and sweet, and you might want to combine them or just do one of them, but they are very useful. One is called Moving On After a Setback by the Binge Eating Recovery Project, which I found online. And one is called a Discovery Worksheet Notes by the No BS Weight Loss Program, which I also found online as a PDF. So I just downloaded them and printed them out and use them when I need to. What I really like about the Discovery Worksheet is the first sentence. Remember, by doing this worksheet, you're agreeing the shame train is over. And I feel like shame is your biggest enemy when it comes to learning from your overeats. Because the overeating has occurred, so you can't do anything about that. But a lot of people hide after they have overeaten, and they try to hide it and erase it out of their mind. And it's mostly because a lot of people feel very shameful about it. And I still would say most of my overeats happen when nobody's around, but I'm way better in like communicating it and making it visible on paper to myself that this has happened, and that doesn't mean anything about me. And this is where shame hurts so much, because shame makes you feel like something is wrong with you as a person, that you are not good enough or you don't do a good job. While overeating is just like a thought error in your mind that has developed an habit that is not healthy. But the problem is, if you stay on your shame train, you will just hope that it will get better, but it won't. And next time you overeat, you don't know what to do again because you haven't worked on the problem itself. On that shame train, I usually also have some thoughts like, now I have to change my life, now I have to do a diet or do a sugar detox, because I blame the food for making me miserable. But in the end, it has been something with me that I chose to eat that. And like, I can have candy around me for most of the day and I won't overeat on them, but then there's something happening and I overeat. So it's really important to recognize that this is a thought error in your mind and it has nothing to do with the food itself, because I don't think most people would overeat on a pizza in the morning at 9 a.m. because our mind is in a different space at that time. But especially even evening when willpower is gone and we have a lot of emotions that have accumulated over the day, that's when overeating happens. And it is so important to afterwards look at what happened in the mind, to work on that instead of going on any kind of like diet or any kind of restriction that you think will help. It probably won't. But I still had these thoughts yesterday. I was really thinking if I should do like a 21-day sugar detox, and I just said to myself, you go now to bed and then you can think about that tomorrow if that's still a good idea. And of course it's not. It doesn't help at all. But it's also a sneaky way how the shame train kind of tries to distract you from what's actually happening in your mind, because you will think you will get a quick fix by just doing a diet, but it's not. So let's take a look into our brains. So now that I've filled out the worksheets, we will go through them together. I will start with the moving on after a setback because it's a little bit more into depth. The first part is what actually happened. So you write down the date, the time, the location, if you have money spent, how much that was, and then briefly describe what happened. For me, it means it happened yesterday at around 5 p.m. I was at home in my reading chair over there, and I think I spent at least 100 Norwegian kroner for the food I ate. Briefly describe what happened. So I came home from work and realized that I have a long Friday night in front of me and I had not planned anything, and I had only planned to make a stroganoff, which I didn't. Instead, I ended up eating chocolate and chips. How were you feeling at the time? I was tired from work week and I also felt lonely and probably also bored. I thought this was going to be a long evening and I didn't know what to do with myself. So it was kind of like feeling lonely and also feeling kind of bored, having no plan for the night, and also feeling like, oh, it's going to be such a long evening because I can go to bed whenever I want. What I like afterwards, it asks you which of the following applied to you at the time, so you can go through and think about more if it was something like a high workload, or if you had a conflict or a sickness or feeling bad about something. And in my case, it was bored, nothing to do, and feeling lonely. Next question. At the time, did you feel you had a good reason for binging? This is for binge eating recovery, but I just changed it to overeating because I do not binge anymore. But I definitely couldn't say that I had a good reason to binge, so no. If so, what was your reason? No, I didn't have a good reason, but I would say it was my way to unwind or de-stress. And then because some people, especially when they binge, they also do something to kind of make up for it. It asks, did you do any of the following afterwards, like purged or made yourself vomit, which is way more serious than I have. Like I never did extra exercise, or it says drank unusually large amounts of water. That's something I never would have done, but that can be something in your mind that I thought like, oh, maybe I should do this and that, or I should restrict for tomorrow so that I can make up for it. And I think you definitely should look for these thoughts because they can come in different ways. So the second part is then to learn from your mistakes. The first question is, how do you feel about what happened now? And I would say this has happened now for 4 weeks in a row. So each Friday, so it is definitely a pattern. I could see that I felt lonely and I didn't know what to do with myself. And I also failed to usually go on a walk or get food and have any kind of like evening routine that I usually have. I didn't manage to have them on Fridays for the past 4 weeks, so that's definitely, I see definitely a pattern there. Which of these statements do you agree with? And I would say I knew this was coming. I already thought it could happen again, and I'm annoyed but ready to move on. Think of 3 things you could have done differently at the time. I think I definitely could have gone for a walk. It was good weather, so I could just have gone that, and I think it would have changed my mindset when I came back home. I could have read a book, and I also could called a friend or a family member. Might any of the following have made a difference? So I crossed calling, texting, or speaking to someone, going for a walk, exercising, having something to do, having an important appointment later that day, or reading a book. I think all of them apply to me in this case. Next question. Finish each sentence. What disappoints me most about the setback is that I could see it coming, but I still didn't manage to prevent it. The biggest lesson I've learned from this, how I actually felt and what I can do now to move forward. One change I'm making today to help prevent this in the future is I will schedule either a workout, a call, or a meeting with a friend to have something to do and to look forward to for next Friday. Which is actually the case because next Friday I will go to a birthday party. And then the third part is moving on. List the 3 most important reasons why you want to recover from, here it says binge eating, but I would say overeating. And first, it definitely prevents me from having actually a good day because it changes the way how I see this Friday, right? I see just the negative of it, but I actually had a great day until then. Reason 2, it prevents me from losing weight in a faster pace, because if I have been overeating almost every Friday, I would have been already lower now, but I didn't because I overate. And then in general, it's not healthy for my body to overeat. It is more than my body needs, so I definitely could do a bit more better to me myself. Now, make the following pledge and date and sign it. And I really love this idea because it takes it very serious. And it's what's done is done. I've learned my lesson. This setback doesn't define who I am or undo the progress I've made. I have a whole year to get this right, or even actually I have a whole life to get this right. I forgive myself and promise not to punish myself. And I think that's really important. I'm drawing a line and I'm ready to focus on what's next. And then you sign and write a date. And I think that's a really good feeling what you get from this worksheet. If you more feel like a shorter, sweeter approach to it, this is the Discovery Worksheet by the No BS Weight Loss Program. And it first asks you again the same as in the other one. This is what I ate. And you should be quite accurate with how much you actually ate. So I wrote 10 Kinder Buenos. I ate chips, Twix, toffee and around 7 of them. And this is where I ate. I was sitting on my reading chair, watching Taskmaster. This is when I ate, around 5 p.m. The reason I ate are, first, I felt lonely. Second, I didn't know what to do with my afternoon/evening. And third, I wanted it. I ate because I was telling myself that I had nothing better to do, that it would be nice to cozy up with some chocolate and TV. I think that's where mostly the thoughts I had. Looking back, was I blaming, excusing, or justifying? I would say I was definitely justifying, saying, oh, I'm lonely and I have nothing to do, so why not eating some chocolate and watching some TV? If yes, what would I like to think instead? I will find a different way to have a great Friday night. That's a thought I definitely want to have and that I need to practice. What patterns am I noticing? This is the 4th time this happened. and I felt lonely and I didn't know what to do. So it was just like these two things, loneliness and boredom, that kind of like made its appearance on the Friday night. Next time this pattern happens, what can I think, feel, and do differently? I can plan a Friday night that is more exciting, definitely, like going to a workout class or scheduling a meeting with a friend. I can think that I will enjoy my night with a walk and a great book. And I think that's, for example, definitely something I could do. And the last question is then, the most important thing I learned from this overeat is that it's just a habit, as a lot of other things, and I will be able to break this habit over time. I just have to keep working on it. And then I like her quote next to it: your future self is really grateful for you right now. I think that's the most important thing, to just see it as one part of your journey to overcome overeating, or if it's a little bit more serious, it's binging. It's just something that you can learn from, and your brain makes predictions out of the past, and by doing mistakes it learns to predict in a better way. So it actually needs these mistakes, these errors, so it can predict better in the future. This is how our brain works, and so mistakes and setbacks are really, really important for our path, and shame isn't helpful at all. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I see you next Sunday. Have a great Halloween. Bye bye.